All right, it's another episode of Black College Experience. It is Keisha J. Kelly, and we're rolling out here. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, my co-host is over in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I hope everybody is still staying safe in the midst of COVID-19. I hope everybody is staying sheltered in place, doing what they're doing. But, of course, it does not stop on this side of the Black College Experience. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing not one, not two, not three, but four coaches. Four different gentlemen from FAMU Wrestling Team. So we got four dynamic people on the phone that's going to talk about this wrestling program, talk about what the Rattlers are doing, talk about some championships, talk about where they are going. We're excited to hear from them because, as everybody knows, the motto, all sports matter. So we want to hear what they have to say about their sports program. Now, today we do have Coach Simmons on, we have Coach Thomas on, we have Coach Shareef on the phone, and then we have Coach, give me that last name, is that Coach, I don't want to call the wrong name.
Snowden.
Come on, that's what I thought. Okay, so Derek or the coaches, whichever one of y'all want to go first, take it away.
Well, I'm just honored to have you guys on tonight. So talk to us about this FAMU Wrestling Team. I'm interested.
Yes, sir.
So it doesn't matter which one. Yeah, whichever one of y'all want to go first. Coach White, Coach Simmons, whoever wants to go first to start off talking about the program, it's on y'all.
Okay. Coach White,
to possibly get more
Go ahead.
Black coaches, Black collegiate teaching coaches back involved in the sport. I was granted an opportunity to wrestle a short time at Georgia State under scholarship. Due to Title IX, it fell through. Transitioned back to Florida A&M. During my time as an undergrad student, they did not have a wrestling program since 1976. For whatever reason, for whatever spirit inside, it was drawn inside of me to again get started somewhere in 99, 2000. From 2000 to about 2003, 2004, ran a pretty steady program of just consistent competition until we met our second coach in line, which would be Abdul.
All right. So just again, I want to thank you all for this platform. The Black College Experience is definitely is much needed, and definitely we should continue to have things like this in the future with you all. Just announcing the information and activities that we're doing with this program. My name is Abdul Shareef. Currently, right now, I'm a professor at Florida A&M University. I was first introduced to Florida FAMU Wrestling program in like 2004 when I was just a college freshman from Miami, Florida. And I met Leroy Harris. He was the team captain at the time. And instantly we made a connection. I made a connection with the team. And I wrestled competitively, placed high, wrestled in many tournaments, and qualified for nationals every year. And then eventually, in my senior year, I was chosen to be the head coach of the team in around 2008-2009 season. And from those skill sets that I learned under the leadership of Coach White, one thing that he instilled in me and a lot of the wrestlers at the time when I was a wrestler was leadership and organizational skills, which manifests perfectly into my transition to the head coach position. And at that time, just a little time in coaching with that, I met actually Coach Reggie at the time. He came into the room when I was coaching, and he was rolling around, and I saw his skill set, his IQ for wrestling, and I know I needed him to help me with this program. And I asked if he would like to be assistant. He'll probably fill you in on the details of how we met, probably clear some of that up. But for the most part, he was welcome to do that. And from that point, with his skill set and being able to apply it with the coaching abilities and my organization and leadership skills, we were able to, and also with the help of volunteers as well, can never forget the volunteers that helped us, we was able to maintain a full roster, produce 3 All Americans, our first female All American, our first SEC champion, the most national qualifiers in the season, and we became the first HBCU in the NCWA to host the SEC Conference Championship in Tallahassee, Florida. So my position, or mine and Coach Reggie at the time, when it was able to be transitioned into our leadership, we were able to grow the program from when Coach White started. And I'll hand it over to Coach Reggie and how he continued after I left. I departed in around 2009, 2010 season to go pursue my PhD at Clark Atlanta, thus passing the torch to Coach Reggie to become the head coach.
Yep, I can pick up from there. So thank you again for the opportunity, both for the podcast and also for the other coaches to get back into the sport. My name is Reggie Snowden. I'm originally from Washington, D.C., and that's actually back where I'm living now. I went to FAMU as an undergrad from 2004 to 2008. I actually didn't compete for FAMU, so it's kind of an interesting story how I found my way back into the room. I had been wrestling all growing up, from my childhood up until college. And, by the time I got to college and, stepped foot on the HBCU campus, I saw that there were a lot of other things occupy, one's time on the campus there. And that mixed with a little bit of burnout from everything else. I decided to take a few years off. So like Coach Abdul said, one day when I was actually in grad school at Florida State down there, I walked past the gym, saw them at wrestling practice, and it was just one of those things where I couldn't help myself. I had to just stop in there and, just the spirit compelled me to just see if I still had it. So did that one day. A few conversations later, asked me if I could help out. Was glad to do so, and that was around 2009, 2010, where I was assistant coach to Coach Abdul there. Then once he departed for law school, I took over the program in 2010, 2011 season. From there, I actually moved to Boston after we left Tallahassee. Lived up there for 5 years, and while I was up there, I continued my coaching career at Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And after we left Boston, moved back down to DC, where I've been coaching back at the high school level for about 4 years now at Gonzaga College Preparatory High School. That's my story. And then I guess for me, as it relates to FAMU, when I was down there, especially that last year, myself and Coach Fred Simmons grew really closely in terms of just running the program. It's a lot to run a program, like Coach Abdul mentioned, both on the mat and off the mat. So he was there to kind of ease my transition into the head coaching role, and then I turned it over to him once I left town. So I can hand it over to him to kick off from there.
Good evening, Coach Simmons. I'd like to say thank you again for the opportunity. I'm currently the assistant head coach for the A&M's wrestling program. I'm originally from South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. Played football here. Wanted to go down to Florida A&M, had family. So I left the confines of Charleston and went to Tallahassee, majored in graphic communications. I also played football, walked on the team my junior and senior year, and played under Billy Joe and then under Reuben Carter. I wrestled in high school as well. I was a two-time runner-up in the state of South Carolina. Kind of got burnt out and wanted to pursue dreams of football. So through my college career, I didn't wrestle. Coach White did have a couple open tournaments that he allowed students to participate in. I wrestled in one my freshman year. And then my sophomore year, I kind of helped him with reffing. And that's what kind of brought me or opened my eyes up to collegiate wrestling at FAMU. Graduated 2007 with my bachelor's. Ended up working with Coach White, and then later on Coach Abdul and Coach Reggie through the program. But my main facet, I was taking grad school classes over at FSU, so I headed up and kind of took the reins over with the FSU program. In joint, we kind of worked together, so that's where the relationship kind of blossomed for both programs. As of now, I'm the marketing and recruiting coordinator for the College of Science and Technology at FAMU. That's all your STEM majors. So I'm still, involved with kids, kind of letting them know the opportunities outside of sports to kind of matriculate and get a deserving career out here in the world. But my passion is just giving kids a light and an opportunity to succeed and shine. Lord willing, using their talents.
So everybody seems to have a pretty interesting journey. Everybody has a different path. I see the higher education, the coaching, and just talking about how you got started. Now, just a random question. Is it only men's wrestling? Do you have women? Is it just men's wrestling team?
No, we have female wrestlers as well. The program started in about 2008, 2009 season. And we continue with that. And so we always advertise to our women students, our female students, to come and participate. We don't get as much participation as compared to our male counterpart. However, we have been successful with our female wrestlers in becoming All Americans on national places on the higher stage of wrestling in our NCWA conference.
Okay, yeah, I'm saying I knew I had saw that earlier. I saw a post where it was saying men and women. I was like, okay, I just wanted to be for certain. So everybody has I would say a rival. Who would y'all consider a rival in wrestling?
Consider a what now?
A rival. Like if it was somebody that you absolutely thought you had to beat, or you would look forward to beating.
Oh, rival.
Rival? Probably University of Central Florida.
Okay.
And only because of their winning track record nationally within our conference of the NCWA. They're a good squad, good coaching squad. We actually have a good relationship with all the Florida schools. University of Central Florida is one. University of Florida, University of North Florida, Florida Gulf Coast University. Am I missing any coaches in Florida?
University of Tampa.
Florida Atlantic.
Excellent. And so there are several different conferences. We're kind of broken up just like the NCAA, but our association is the NCWA. However, out of all those conferences, our association usually pulls the top 5 schools, and again, we use our neighboring schools to stay abreast of where we are and use them as a marker. So UCF will be our top rival right now.
Okay, so let's talk about.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead, Keisha.
I was just going to ask about the graphic. The graphic that was sent over was once upon a time HBCUs used to be heavily represented in the NCAA sport of wrestling. One day in the future, our programs will make a triumphant return to the NCAA. Hashtag it's coming. If one of you or all of you could elaborate on that, on the return to the NCAA.
Well, for me, this is Thomas White. I guess a lot of these guys weren't even born during my initial transition, trying to get from high school to collegiate wrestling program. I was blessed to wrestle under a coach by the name of Gary Kurtemeyer. He served as the president of USA Wrestling for a number of years. He was also the head coach of Iowa State. Most wrestlers, when you mention the top wrestler or any prominent wrestler, they're going to go immediately to a name called Dan Gable. My college coach just so happened to be the head coach of that particular wrestler. Saying all that to say that during my last years of 92, 93, that was the beginning of Title IX. Title IX began to shut down a lot of collegiate wrestling programs. Scholarship monies, financial instabilities. So if you're aware of Title IX, it basically swiped a bunch of programs, sports programs for students that were going on athletic rides. I was currently attending Georgia State at the time when that program was pulled. I really didn't have a choice at that time. I needed to come back in state to regain my education. I was a biology pre-med major. Wound up falling into chemistry, currently teach chemistry on the campus of Florida A&M University. But at that point, there were very few universities that had a competing NCAA program. The only two HBCUs back in 92, 93 that was still surviving was Howard University and Delaware State. Coach Simmons is aware of the closing dates of those.
Yeah, Title IX is to get more in depth. Basically, in a nutshell, you need to have the same amount of men and female sports funded by an athletic program. Most wrestling programs, generally in the South and a little bit northern, most programs are not money makers, like revenue generating. So if they're looking to cut a program, it's going to be probably your non-revenue generating sports, i.e. wrestling. Probably on most dockets, it was only all male sport was one of the ones to get cut at most HBCUs. To kind of give some background on that.
We're seeing similar results this past year with was it track and tennis, was it, Coach?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So,
you guys are giving me. You guys are giving me a brief history lesson, because I did not know in the 80s that HBCUs had wrestling teams. I mean, I'm definitely, when Keisha first told me about the FAMU Wrestling Squad, I was like, wow, that's great. We need more HBCUs to do this. But I had no idea that there was previous HBCU wrestling history, and it was good wrestling history. Getting to the finals or, beating bigger schools. So I like the fact of the, like you said, the graphic that you guys have as far as, reclaiming our past glory, because people want to only realize that football is our glory. Now, with you bringing wrestling back, you can let people know that we once had glory in wrestling as well. It may not generate as much money as football does, but when you can compete as an HBCU with athletes from bigger schools and beat them, I mean, that is something to be proud about. And what you guys are doing is awesome. And it's like y'all have passed the tradition down. It's like we have a legacy of the FAMU wrestling coaches, because one of you gentlemen is the founder of the program, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
and now
right.
we have the current head coach on the line as well. And all of you have passed that legacy down. And hopefully whenever the current coach leaves, he passes it down, and the torch keeps burning, because wrestling is a sport that African Americans can excel in. I mean, if you're a fan of professional wrestling, which I am, we had Mark Henry, who was a power lifter and then became a long-time professional wrestler. When you have, I know Greco wrestling is different from professional wrestling, but still, it's an avenue for HBCU athletes to show their athleticism and then, compete in the Olympics and then forge a professional wrestling career.
No, I'm UFC.
Sir?
UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Mm-hmm. But nowadays we get a lot of guys who want to learn the technique, because a lot of wrestlers are winners in that sport as well.
Right.
MMA. They're talking about MMA, mixed martial arts.
Well, MMA, mixed martial arts, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, you don't really see a lot of one black wrestler that I know that was a wrestler that has competed in professional wrestling is Sheldon Benjamin. So it's possible that FAMU can give birth to the next Sheldon Benjamin. I mean, everyone knows who Kurt Angle is. We need more Sheldon Benjamins, and to have the success that you gentlemen have had, and to pass this legacy down. I mean, it is awesome because this is something that a lot of HBCUs can't say. Right now, are y'all the only active HBCU wrestling team, to your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And now, I'm going to get in your business a little bit. Like, does the athletic department fund you guys any, or are y'all strictly, private donations from wherever? Does the athletic department help y'all out with any expenses?
Well, two things. I think my coach had a correction on the only HBCU. Did you want to address that, Coach?
So we're no longer the only active HBCU. Allen University is in Columbia, South Carolina. They have started an NAIA, which is another division, but they offer scholarships. And they have attended some of our events within the last maybe five years. They've been a strong proponent of coming down to attend our big tournament. We have a multi-team tournament called a Seminole Rattler Invitational, and they've been a stalwart the last maybe, like I said, 5 years of bringing their guys down, competing. But they're also an HBCU right here in the Southeast.
So to get back to Keisha's question, even though they're NAIA, do you think you could form an HBCU wrestling rivalry with Allen University? Because I'm familiar with Allen University. They recently brought back football. So they're trying to grow their athletic department. And for them to get into wrestling, I think that's great. So what do you think about beginning an HBCU wrestling rivalry with Allen University?
Well, we're working on that now. Currently, they have a new coach, just started last year. And we've been in, contact about maybe having a duel or them attending our tournament this year.
At our second annual MLK event.
In January, we have a dual style format where teams from all over the country come, and we want to compete against them, team versus team. And then during our IBT tournaments, we can, we have guys that matched up, but we have wrestled some of their guys. Our guy FAMU has wrestled Allen in other tournaments before.
And have any of your past wrestlers gone on to try wrestling, like maybe try to make the Olympic squad, or professional wrestling or professional Greco wrestling, or go overseas to try to see if they can, utilize the skills that they've learned at FAMU and make a wrestling career out of it?
I want to answer two things. One, yes. Two, earlier you said something about reflecting athletic sports in the direction of just being an outlet in wrestling. Wanted to catch on that we also want to reflect athletics in the way that we produce graduates.
Yes, you do.
I ask the question dealing with athletics, but to be clear, our wrestling team, our wrestling program is not housed under athletics. We have a good relationship with athletics. We're trying to get in under athletics because that would be us being a Division I under NCAA division. That's the big aim that we as four coaches are trying to aim for to get this team on. As of now, we receive the donation support that you mentioned about. We receive some alumni support that you're talking about, and we receive support from our home branch, which is campus recreation. I'm saying it in that order because I don't want anybody to be confused that we're just intramural squad or club squad, and we just kind of casually wrestle against teams. No, we're an actual competing varsity squad. It's just due to politics, Title IX, there's a certain way that we have to conduct ourselves in order to compete. And yes, that is financial. We do a lot of car washes, a lot of Victoria secret fundraiser, whatever you can call it. But
raffles.
We definitely are seeking greater support that is going to assist us to get to that next level of being in the NCAA division.
And right, and it's good that you broke down where your funds come from. And here's the thing: I hope you get more funds from these entities. I would love to see the University Athletic Department, donate money if they have not, or continuously donate money, or a successful alumnus, athletic or academic or just professional, donate, because this is something special. What you guys have created at FAMU is something that a lot of HBCUs don't have. And right now, it's only two: yourselves, FAMU Wrestling, and the Allen Wrestling. I would like to see more HBCUs get into the sport, because you have a lot of athletes. In my high school, Callaway High School in Jackson, Mississippi, we didn't have wrestling. But imagine if we did. That's an avenue where a young man can get an education. And if I'm a good wrestler in high school and my family has an HBCU tradition, the likelihood of me being able to go to an HBCU and compete for championships is not as great as it is in other sports. Yes, now I have FAMU, I have Allen, but if more HBCUs were able to get into the sport and athletic departments, added them to its, I guess you could say, umbrella, then you could give scholarships and you could provide a way to get exposure for your school in an athletic sport that does make money, because these wrestling matches draw crowds. Am I right or wrong?
They will,
yes,
if they're advertised and promoted properly. And while you're on that note, one of the positions that Coach Simmons holds is a recruiting position with the NCWA. And if schools like Florida Memorial, Edward Waters College, give me some more HBCUs in this area.
Mississippi Valley State University.
Thank you. So, Coach, what do they need to do? How would they be able to start at least a starting team like we are to at least compete at a national level?
So basically, to be in our association, a team would have to have one adult head coach. The team fee or the conference, the association fee for the year is $515, and per athlete, kind of like your NCAA clearinghouse, would be $50. So each athlete has to at least take a minimum of 6 credit hours at that university to be eligible for our conference and our national championships that we have every year in Allen, Texas.
Nationals only requires a 2.0 to wrestle. Florida A&M University Wrestling Program requires a 2.5.
I like that.
And let's speak about the history of the average GPA for the team, right? How we encourage and ensure that our athletes, student athletes, hence student before athlete, we ensure that we had an average of 3.0. I know during my tenure and even up to now, I think we have the team average is about 3.0 right now.
Yeah, the semester average this year for the team was amongst with COVID. We had a 3.29 GPA, cumulative GPA.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly. And most of all our wrestlers that came through the program graduated from FAMU and went on into professional careers and doing pretty well for themselves, to where that now they're alumni and they're donating back to the team. So again, not only is it about wrestling. Again, we talk about how it's a program. Again, we encourage them to maintain. And a lot of the kids that come to FAMU, they wouldn't have necessarily got into college had it not been for a university like Florida A&M. So we give a chance to them and then give them a sense of focus and purpose. And I'm really just describing myself coming from Miami, in the area that I came from, and just coming to the university and having Coach White on top of me saying, make sure your grades are right, do this, that, go to this lab, I can help you with this, so on and so forth, and providing the mentors and tutors that needed to ensure that I matriculate through the university-wise as a student. And again, looking at myself going through that progress and coming on the outside, on the other side, I ended up having my PhD, and now I'm a professor at the university and can give back my time again now that I returned. Give back my time and see it manifest for other students and other athletes that come through the program again. So just giving that back. So that's what
Right.
we do here.
And again, that's going back to my passing down the history and the legacy. And it's great that you guys have that, because, Florida
Okay,
and
let me hold on, Derek. Let me hop in there, but before you go there, because I did have a question. I think you asked like 5 questions that I want to ask.
my bad. Let me hush.
Yeah,
I'm excited, man, because I'm a wrestling fan, so I think this is great.
Appreciate that.
So let me go back to when you talked about the donations, and I do, because I follow the page. I knew that y'all weren't under the athletic department with FAMU. That I did know. And then even looking at, the breakdown, I looked at the scholarships, I looked at the different things. If you could, because again, I looked at how many scholarships were offered in wrestling, in D1, D2, D3, of course, NAIA, across the board. And then, of course, you talk about the grades. So again, go back to that. How many students did you say, or what was I know you said the average GPA somewhere was around 3.0. How many students did you say graduated out of the program?
Okay, well, first of all, it's an ongoing program. As of now, I think we will have 4 returning freshmen, which obviously they'll be sophomores next year. 3 sophomores, which will be juniors. So again, you have a continuous program. Most recently off the deck would be our national champion, our first national champion, Ricky Carter. He just graduated this semester amongst the COVID with his master's in what field, Coach?
Psychology.
So that's just the remnants of what Coach Abdul, our current PhD, is trying to indicate, is that for me, when I developed the program, coming from NCAA D1 type attitude, the last thing that I wanted to do was milk anybody for their time, their service, their skills, their physical ability, and not give them anything back, like help getting a degree, like help keeping your head up when classes are hard, life is hard, somebody done died during the semester when you're just trying to make it through. Those were other aspects written besides a takedown, written besides a single leg lace that I made sure was taught on that team. And I guess what Abdul, Coach Reggie, and Coach Simmons currently is not only legacy. I as a growing man and a continuous growing man, that's the thread that I still love to see in that room. Current GPA, we try to keep those stacks current. So again, Coach Fred, what was it this semester?
3.29 team average GPA.
Why we keep it like that, and we also have spreadsheets with individual wrestlers, their grades. Again, I teach chemistry on campus, so I'm constantly setting up study halls. Coach Fred is constantly having them come by the dean's office and do progress reports. All of this is because we are not a scholarship team. Right. And because people, what we're getting, honestly, is very rare. We're getting people who are dedicated to their spirit and time without wanting anything back except what we're able to give, and that's our support. The beauty about it is, so are the coaches. We don't get paid. Well, hold on. Well, where does the $550 to pay that association fee come from? Especially when we have a men's and females team that year. That means that's a grant. Okay, well, what about your freshman who came in broke and can't afford your individual $50 fee? Okay, that's enough. That's where, when you begin to ask us financial questions, first of all, let me not underhand play the alumni supporters like the Carol Roberts. These are twins who graduated from FAM in '76. Remember, I said that was the last year we had a wrestling program. These two are currently going to be recognized in the future by the athletic program because of their wrestling history. Point being, in the past, they've donated 500 here, 600 here. Campus recreation, amongst all the other sports that they have to attend to, will send us 200, 300, maybe $1,000 that year if they have the money. Between the 4 coaches, we're hustling, we're car washing, we're doing raffle tickets, we're giving our own money. Because mind you now, after we pay that association fee and we get all pretty with it, we still got to travel. We still got to get to these events and show them why we need to be a part of this association. And the big show, which is nationals, for the last, 5 years, Coach Simmons? 6 years?
Yes, 6 years.
Has been held in Texas. And I don't know about you if you've ever driven out there, but that's a trip.
Yeah.
And that's a gas trip. And I'm talking about with people's kids of at least 10 to 12, 13 plus wrestlers trying to make it safely there, put our names on the board, and come back. And again, finish our degrees, study, and do what we have to do. I don't know if that bounced around your question. I appreciate you asking that. But yeah, our financial need, again, we need it. We can definitely utilize it, and we'll definitely put it to good use. Not for us. Some of our student wrestlers need book vouchers. Those are some of the things that we've developed over the last 2 to 3 years with Coach Simmons. Some of these students need clothes. And we've gotten that for these students with the scholarships that we've developed. Everything's not big, so depending on how we budget it as a team and get some things going, we're able to do some side projects. I don't want to overtalk that, Coach Simmons or Abdul or Coach Reggie.
I mean, yeah, just to add to that real quickly, I think that, one thing that I've seen in coaching in and out of Florida is just it really drives the point of the dedication that it takes. Florida's a big state, so a lot of times, if a wrestling match just against one other team may last an hour. You may drive 4 or 5 hours to get there for 1 hour of competition just to make it back. So, I mean, it's just more of a testament just to the fact that, with little kind of thanks in return, these guys are really just doing it because they're dedicated to it. And they seek out the competition, and they're willing to do what it takes. And, that really is our job to facilitate that. If somebody is willing to kind of, put their college experience, on the back burner for a little while, because wrestling is one of those sports that you really have to dedicate, all of your time and energy to be successful at. We have no choice but to support any way we can and to facilitate that, because they're the ones making the ultimate sacrifice. So.
Anybody else?
Along the line of academic preparation that we work with our guys currently now, Coach elaborated on academic progress reports. So we asked our wrestlers 3 times a semester to go and speak to their professors outside of class time to kind of get that one-on-one time. If they do need help, it's an avenue for them to get help. But also for us as coaches to be able to know what's going on in their lives, and if we're able to find a resource that students might not know about, that helps us facilitate moving them in that direction. Also, we do professional development with our FAMU Career Center. So basically, we allow our students to get their resumes together. A lot of them during the summertime, we always promote getting internships. We all know that internships lead to potential job opportunities. Recently, we've had one of our guys actually had an internship last year with Johnson & Johnson, IT major, computer science major, I'm sorry. And definitely going to the Career Center and using those resources to help polish himself up in that aspect is a great thing for our wrestlers. Most programs, I'm not sure they do, but that's one of our calling cards that we promote to athletes when they're looking at potentially coming to FAMU, and why FAMU Wrestling, how it can help them matriculate to a career. Also, we are not a full-time wrestling program like that. They practice 5 days a week, like some of the NCAA or NAIA teams. We practice 3 days a week, but that allows the guys, one, to get involved in other social groups. We've had several wrestlers join NAACP and other leadership organizations, fraternities, and sororities for our females. But that gives them that well-rounded college experience as well that they might not have gotten if they had, wrestled at another program. So.
Okay, so I'm looking on your Facebook page, and I see this poster, 2020 NCWA National Qualifier. You have 5 wrestlers. Let's talk about those guys. and some of their accomplishments. Because this past wrestling season, correct?
Yes.
So let's talk about Emmanuel Childs, Isaiah McNeely. Correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Vonda Warren, Jaden Silver, and Joseph Vickers. Talk about those young men and their accomplishment on the wrestling mat this season.
Coach, if you wouldn't mind, Simmons,
Mm-hmm.
start with Isaiah McNeely, because that would be your transition with education you just talked about. Isaiah McNeely is one of our wrestlers who transitioned from our local community college, Tallahassee Community College here in town, to FAMU through one of their programs. Coach emphasized the summer internships because Isaiah, again, keeping up with tradition, was one of the current students who paid very much attention to the directions of doing that, and honestly, we can see him succeeding right now with some of that. Wrestler from out of Jacksonville, dad is a coach, extremely excellent wrestler. Got to our second round this year in nationals before he was injured.
Mm-hmm.
A good guy. Grades are extremely good. One of our highest GPAs on the team. We can go back to the left. I think that's Emmanuel Childs, Coach Simmons.
Yeah, Emmanuel Childs is another one of our wrestlers that came to us through TCC. He bounced around from a couple colleges out of Missouri, and then found a home at TCC, and we were able to kind of bring him under our wing at FAMU while he was at TCC. He recently, last semester, fall semester, transferred over to FAMU and was able to procure we have a community college scholarship. So basically, if they come from any state community college and they have a certain GPA, 3.5 or higher, their last 4 semesters tuition is waived at FAMU. And so he was able to take advantage of that. He's also a graphic design major as well. So hopefully I can turn the reins over to him sooner than later with the graphics for the team and use his talents to build his portfolio. But definitely we're looking forward to some big things from him next year. This year was his first year at Nationals, a little bumpy, but definitely know he's currently working in the summer in the volleyball pit next to the gym, working on his craft and footwork so he can be dominant next year on the mat.
Third in the center is a wrestler by the name of Jaden Silver from Tampa, Florida. Jaden's a little special to me because his head coach out of high school was my head coach in high school, Coach David Mitchell, who attended Old Dominion University. He was recently recognized as a coach of Hall of Fame candidate a couple of years ago. So Jaden came from Tampa. Coach Simmons, follow up on him.
Jaden is a well-rounded athlete. We have 2 heavyweights. So we're kind of known around our association as upper weight heavy, as we like to call it. But Jaden's a great. He's silent, but definitely basics. He's gonna come to the mat, the wrestling room every day to bring it. He currently has some health issues that he's bouncing back from now. And communicating with us every day about him getting better. And so hopefully last year he wasn't able to attend nationals because of family reasons, but he was our lone SEC champion last year. So hopefully this year we can get him back, on the mat, and he looking for some big things from him, some national placement.
What was his rank going into nationals, even though he didn't go, Coach? What was his rank going into nationals, even though he couldn't attend?
He was top 5 in the nation in our association.
So that means he was picked to place pretty high. So yeah, we look forward to seeing good things from him in the upcoming year.
Awesome.
Your fourth line, Coach Simmons.
LaVon Warren, he wrestled. He was actually a runner-up in the state of Florida back in 2015. definitely he came from his background was a little rough, and able to get at FAMU and get stable and excel in the classroom. We've been working with LaVon for a while with his grades. He's also a psychology major, and he wants to help at risk kids in the community. So we're trying to work with him now on a internship locally here at a community college where he's working with students with similar backgrounds as he grew up. And he's one of our stories that he's overcome a lot of adversity in his life. Wrestling, he was a two-time conference placer for us in our conference a couple years ago when we were really stacked with some teams that have since transitioned to D2, NCAA D2. He plays very high. So he's one of our seniors. We're glad, that we were able to make a difference in his life. And, he's open to coaching, trying to get him to coach one of our local high school, Vickers High School, here in the community, Tallahassee community as well. So.
Good leader on and off the mat, was inspirational in one of our recent service projects. We did an anti-bullying campaign in which all the guys purchased hand-sized teddy bears. I think for a week we took pictures with them, took Instagram photos with them, worked out with them. They came to practice, and then we went down to the local elementary school and gave those teddy bears to those kids. And Lavonda was one of our prominent speakers, and just kind of reminding the kids to keep good attitudes, not to bully. So it was a little different, but it was great to see him taking a different kind of initiative, not for himself, but also for the team. Last in line, Coach.
Joseph Vickers is our freshman, came from us from North Carolina. He's also several of our students, if they're coming from out of state, most of them are taking or getting interested in ROTC. ROTC gives scholarships to students, full ride scholarships. So he's one of our students that took advantage of a ROTC scholarship. He has hopes and aspirations to become a doctor. So trying to keep that debt ratio low in his book, but a great freshman for us. Definitely looking for some big things from him next year. He, a little rocky this year at nationals, but for his weight class, we think he has to be, he has the ability to be one of our stalwarts for the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Showed out in regionals. He did real good as a freshman.
So, and I also see you have some incoming freshmen coming in, young men, and I'm looking at the accolades that they have earned as wrestlers. Let's talk about those individuals, those four.
So most of our freshmen, I can tell you a few that have actually came on campus and visited. Kyle Hopkins, he's one of the guys. They're from Jackson. He's from Jacksonville. Rains High School is a high school that's rich with FAMU tradition throughout the high school. Their wrestling program is growing. He will be attending FAMU. We also have a young lady, Clarissa Affy. She is coming to wrestle for us. Our biggest thing is just trying to get women who've had wrestling experience now.
What high school from, Coach?
Out of high school.
What high school is she coming from?
Matanzas High School is a high school, Palm Coast, Florida, like right below Jacksonville. We have another guy on Florida State's team.
He's from estimated weight for the young lady? I apologize, Coach. Do you have an estimated weight for the young lady?
She's wrestling 191 weight class. She wrestled 184 in high school.
All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. And hopefully I'll get a chance to, if you guys post some videos, I can watch some of your matches just to support you before we get out of here. But why don't you let people know, and our listeners, if anyone wants to donate to assist the FAMU Rattler Wrestling Program with anything, be it monetary just manpower, how can they reach you, gentlemen, or how can they help your program?
Well, any supporter can always, first of all, get in touch with the FAMU Wrestling program through social media, Facebook, Instagram. Coach Simmons does an excellent job of keeping that up to date and refresh for us, along with Coach Snowden and Coach Abdul. We take direct donations. If you need to go through the school, you're always welcome to donate through foundation. Again, if you get in touch with the program, we can always tell you how to reach them. Coach Simmons, do you have direct email numbers or
So if anybody who's interested, definitely can reach us at FAMU_wrestling@yahoo.com.
That's awesome. Keisha?
So once again, Derek asked the question that I was going to ask. So I'll say give us all of your social media handles so they'll know where to find you on social media.
So Facebook is just FAMU Wrestling Team. And then Instagram is FAMU Wrestling, all one word. And you can tell because we're going to have the rattlesnake head. For people that are interested in following us on Instagram, we post several of our matches on IGTV. So I know, Derek, you asked how could you check out some of our matches. A lot of our matches that we wrestle outside of our competition. So anytime we get an opportunity to wrestle up in division, we wrestle open tournament. So this year we wrestled at the Newberry Open, Newberry is an NCAA Division II team. One of our guys actually placed fourth in that tournament.
If students would like to find out more about our program and the association that we're a part of, which makes us a varsity program, they can check out www.ncwa.net. And that stands for National Collegiate Wrestling Association.net.
And if we have any HBCU alums that have wrestled before, want to get in contact with us, we definitely want to promote and kind of pull together HBCU community. Please reach out to us. We know a couple, but we know it's a lot out here that we just don't have the reach. And hopefully this might, spur somebody to tell somebody, hey, FAMU has a wrestling team, and we can kind of get them started.
Florida A&M Campus Recreation. You can also reach us through our home base, which is the Hansel E. Took Center, the Campus Rec Center.
Excuse me. So whomever runs the Instagram page, just make sure whenever y'all post something, make sure y'all, if you miss it, make sure you tag me, because I'm always reposting that stuff. So of course it's going to go to our Twitter, our Instagram, and to our Facebook, which of course our Facebook is almost at 10,000 followers. So we do have a large reach. So if y'all can make sure y'all tag us in that, if there's anything that y'all want to send over to us, we'll be fine with posting that to let more people know about what you guys are doing. I really admire what you guys are doing for those guys. It's almost like you're taking them from baby, grooming them into young men, because you're taking them from the beginning all the way to the end with everything in between. I'm doing something and I'm not getting paid for. I'm making sure that they're doing what they need to do in the classroom, making sure they get book vouchers. We're talking about internships. So just listening to the stories, we want to make sure y'all get all the exposure and everything that y'all need, because y'all are doing such a great job trying to make sure that they get what they need. So we want to help make sure they get the exposure that they deserve.
And young ladies. And young ladies, right. We've had several young ladies put blood, sweat, and tears into our program in our room, and have heard us give the same speech that we gave to them, and have taken advantage and are in their careers as well. So,
well, I'm gonna put this in y'all futures, because, like I said, this is a legacy. I'm gonna predict that some HBCU director somewhere is gonna make a movie out of the birth and rise to prominence of the FAMU Wrestling Team. I'm putting that in y'all future. So.
That's what's up.
Receive that.
Man, definitely.
On that one, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity to share our story. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we want to thank FAMU Wrestling. Again, my name is Derek Thomas, and my wonderful co-host and CEO of Black College Experience, Keisha Kelly. We are out of here. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Strike again.